Hi!
Hi, I'm Zoe.
Oh, and I'm Ben.
And this is Penny in the
In the
Landline.
landline. Yes, it
In
is. That's right,
they,
team.
them landline. Episode
Oh,
7.
oh my god. Episode 7. Lucky number
Episode
7.
7.
Look at us.
Slevin. So it feels like we recorded this yesterday. I don't know about you, but I feel like we've been in the studio really recently. Maybe it's because I edited so late, but
We are the Taylor Swift of podcasting. We are in that studio, best believe, day and night, just to entertain you random fuckers, okay? I hope that you are thrilled.
I hope so too. You know, I think it would be kind of fun if we ever did get an actual recording studio. Fancy mine.
That'd be high camp though if we had a full recording studio,
Soundproof?
posters, pictures, everything soundproof. But we still had our but only our friends listened.
Yeah.
Like if we invested £20,000 into recording facilities, like a literally an album studio setup, and we were sat down with our mics every week to get our mum being like, "Wow, that was so good."
I could see it though. We could build a conversation pit. We'd have a whole fancy studio, and it would be a really elite, privileged podcast that only a select few can listen to. And then it'll turn into a modern art digital piece.
Oh wow! Okay, you've
That's what
really
I'm
thought this
thinking.
through, haven't you? You've got dreams.
Yeah.
You want us to be? Do you want us to be an installation, where we sit in a
Yes.
museum and we just talk forever?
I want my subconscious to be put into my voice, my persona to be transformed into a robot, and then I'll be able to talk to our listeners through the ether. That kind of installation. That's what I'm thinking. How about you?
I mean, I love that for you though, because I mean, do you remember that whole thing that people used to do things at art museums where they'd sit there and not eat for 2 weeks? Or do really peculiar things, I'll just bring Tracy Emin brought her bed into a studio. It was this is how my nasty ass bedroom looks like. Everyone was like,
Yes.
okay, did I ask?
I love
kind of
that
vibes.
piece. I love
It's
that.
crazy. I mean, that's a very okay, whatever. But I imagine us being in a studio, but inside of a museum where we have to talk for 2 weeks straight. We're the opposite. There's no silence. We have to speak. The exact opposite of these silent art exhibits. We literally have to talk for
It's
16
the exact
days.
opposite of Marina Abramovich's new. She has a new piece where it's someone's living in the museum for 7 days, and they're
Yeah.
they are not allowed to talk. But they still have to go piss girl, and I just think about that. Do they have to pee and poo on stage? I guess they do.
There's an element of
anyways.
these things. There's that whole thing where people are like, oh, I didn't eat for 11 days. I'm like, yes, you did. Whatever.
Whatever.
Were you telling me that 4 a.m. when there's no one watching you that you weren't absolutely ravenous, sneaking around, snacking? Okay, sneaking and snacking. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to. Don't lie to me.
I
lie
don't
to me.
mind seeing someone eat on stage. You can eat. I don't care. Just don't make it whatever. We're already getting into topics that aren't even a topic. We're warming up.
Another topic before our pre-topic. We could
Our
kind of almost be a little bit
pre-topic
our pre-topic topic. We could also be the Russian sleep experiment, that creepy pasta.
Yeah.
Where they have
Yes, yeah.
where they have the gas that keeps them awake.
Yeah.
They give us gas that just keeps us talking.
And then we'll be
we just
topic episode 76 wooden barrels. What do you think about
episode 14,804. What do you think of the use? What do you think about the use of leather in printing the Bible?
I actually have something. No, I'm not going to get into that. I did go into
No,
a museum
not-
We can't talk about printing presses. Anyways, each week, me and Ben bring a special topic, the printing press and wooden barrels, as shown. We each bring a special topic, and we talk about it with each other, and surprise the other with our special topic of the week. So I believe it's your turn to go first, actually, this time.
That's correct.
So
It
what
is.
your topic?
Thank
What
you.
is your topic today?
My topic today is streaming. Streaming media. And when you think about last week we were talking about DVDs, will I ever use a DVD again, and things like
Right.
that. And I think this week I was thinking, because it all came from the following. So, the Golden Globes happened, and they were only available to watch via streaming, but not in the UK, yada, yada, yada. They used to just be on television, which I think makes more sense. But anyway, there was loads of things on there, and like loads of TV programmes that were nominated for Golden Globes, and I had never even heard of the streaming platform before. But they were like, oh, this series is from this. And I was like, what the fuck? And I started thinking, like, how bonkers this whole streaming bonanza is, because I completely agree with it in the sense that, like, okay, everything's accessible on demand. It's not like linked to some sort of arbitrary scheduling system like television is, and it just doesn't work with modern world anymore. But at the same time, like, when you had a TV set up, you would just pay for, like, I don't know, a certain amount per month, and you'd have all, like, 100 channels you could pick from, you know? Whereas now it's like, are you telling me that I have to subscribe to, like, 15 different streaming platforms just to watch, like, one series from each of those platforms? Like, that is bonkers to me. So inevitably, I'm just completely out of the loop, even as someone who is, you know, media and films and television is like at the forefront of their brain. Even someone like me whose literal passion is to keep up to date with these things, even I can't keep up to date with these things because I can't afford to keep up to date with these things. Why should I have to, like, fork out a new mortgage just to watch a new series? I don't know. I just want to know your thoughts on streaming and, like, how it works, and if it's like another scam. Am I being scammed?
Well,
Am I being bamboozled?
That's so interesting, because there are all these streaming programs now that are starting to put ads back into streaming, and it's like the whole point of streaming existing in the first place was to access TV and movies without ads, because that's how you experience television. So now that they're putting ads back in, it's like YouTube. YouTube used to not have ads, and now it has ads, and now you can pay for YouTube Premium not to have ads, and it's like, hold on. It used to...
Yeah, it's insane.
The site has created a problem that didn't exist. So I think it's just so difficult. Like, I don't know about you, because we used to watch TV. I used to watch TV when I was a child. I can't remember what it was like. It feels like a completely different world of, like, a completely different, like, rhythm to sit down and watch what was on TV than it is to stream. Like, I watch way less TV shows and movies than I used to, and even when I do, I get, like, you know, it's a whole choice paralysis thing of, like, you open up Netflix and you're like, oh my god, there's way too many choices. But, you know, when you used to have TV, you would just be like, guess I'm watching this now, and you just did.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what it felt like. Like, it feels so distant.
Well, it's like the death of the monoculture. Like, I've gone through this before, and I'll probably go through it again. And it's my dinner party discussion point that I love to bring up because it's pretentious and arrogant, but also very interesting. Is the whole point of, like, you know, with the birth of the internet, now there's no unity in terms of what we view and what we watch, and it comes with, like, it's two sides of things, isn't it? It's like, in one regard, we have so much choice which we would never dream of having before, and it's really, really amazing that we have the opportunity to, like, truly view whatever we want to view in some shape or form, just provided you can fork up the money. But whereas before, if, you know, 20 years ago, if you wanted to watch a movie and you couldn't find it online, you had to find some sort of weird DVD or go somewhere to find it, or all sorts of strange means and methods to find something. I know it's good that we're not told just what to like, because it's like you said, like, when you had TV as an option, like, I don't know to this day whether I like The Mummy, the movie with Brendan Fraser, or I have been told by ITV2 that I like The Mummy, because ITV2 would play that film every weekend, every Sunday evening for what seemed like 10 years. So inevitably, I would watch The Mummy every week, and I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know if I've been gaslit into liking The Mummy, or if it's just a great film. Maybe both. But, like, it's like, but that is the thing. Like, you didn't have that many decisions. You kind of had to go to, if you wanted to watch a movie, you go to the Blockbuster and you pick that one movie, and that is the movie you're watching because it's the one movie you've picked up. And now I just think you're right. We've got ads in streaming. It defeats the object of streaming. There are too many decisions to make. It's just like, yes, it's good to have decision free will, but, like, is it? Sometimes I just want to not have to fucking think so much about what I'm doing, and, like, why can't I just find things? Isn't internet meant to make things easier? Why is it now harder? Why is it harder? I don't understand.
It's just unnecessarily harder, and then, like, these services, again, they just make you like, it's so stressful to, like, even figure out something to watch. And also, obviously, you know, the whole drama and, like, the whole controversy about, like, how little people getting paid when, like, with things switching to streaming. I mean, that's what all the strikes were, part of the strikes were about last year and
Of
things
course,
like that.
yeah.
And it's that sort of thing where it's like these shows get pumped out and you're like, I've literally never heard of this movie or TV show, and yet they're spending millions and millions and millions on it just to show up on a streaming service somewhere and then never to be watched. And it's like, what are we doing? What's going on?
It's not what it is. It's a classic thing. Like, you'd think that they'd use the internet to, sounds like an old person, the internet, but I feel like they'd use like the means of the internet provides in order to find out what people actually want to watch, because there's so much data available what people actually want to be viewing. But then this is what happens: every single series that comes out on Netflix, Amazon, whatever, they release one series of it. It doesn't get, and it's not an initial hit. It doesn't have 1 million views in the first 5 minutes. They're like, well, no one watched it then. It's like, well, you've produced too much content that you haven't got time or room to market, and people can't access all these ridiculous streaming sites to see these things because they haven't got the money to do so.
Yeah.
It's not a case of flicking channels. It's a case of subscribing. And, like, you can't expect people to come across your content anymore because it's so hard to access it unless you're willing to literally... If I was to have... I think I looked at somewhat this the other day. If I was to have the subscriptions to every single streaming platform, I'd spend something like £100 a month.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
and that's
crazy.
more than you'd ever have spent on television.
Yeah.
Ever. unless you have, like, Sky, unless you have, like, one of those premium platforms that's kind of like streaming television combined. Like, these things, like, would never cost as much as it would cost to have all these things combined. It's like, what have we done? We've taken something that should make things so easy and made it so much more complicated. And it's just very frustrating. And I just it all comes down to me wanting to watch this series called The Curse with Emma Stone in it. And it was on Paramount Plus. But I was like, I shouldn't have to bloody get Paramount Plus. Like, what the fuck? I have Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Netflix. I have fucking Mubi. I'm literally bankrupting myself just because I want to watch, like, a silly little safty comedy series with Emma Stone. Like, and then everyone's like, oh, well, no good TV gets made these days because no one watches it. It's like, of course we don't watch it because we haven't got hundreds of pounds to fork out to your randomly fake subscription services that have, like, one good TV series on it. You know, it's so exhausting. It's like a middle class problem, but God, it's fucking annoying.
It is frustrating.
Do you know what I mean?
It just feels like everything is imploding. Like, all the apps are becoming the same app. Like, all the social media are becoming the same social media. Everything's kind of like, everything's trying to be its own thing, and then the next day it's like, oh, Instagram has stories now, like Snapchat had stories, oh, TikTok Reels, and it's like, what is like, everything is becoming what originally set something else apart, or like what something else originally served us, and it's just like everything's being rebranded as something we already know. It's just really exhausting.
It's really bizarre.
I'm not in the mood.
I think the perfect way to tie my section up, because God knows I could rant forever. I saw a classic tweet. You've probably seen this tweet before, but it's from like 6 years ago, whatever. And it was someone saying, like, the internet used to be an escape from real life, and now real life is an escape from the internet. These things used to be so exciting and liberating, and like so interesting, like suave and slick and easy. The internet used to make things so easy in theory, and now it's like, oh my God, why everything I do on the internet so complicated?
And all of this because of Emma Stone. All of this because of
Emma Stone has a lot to answer to.
And on that note, my topic, Emma Stone.
Oh my God, is your topic Emma Stone?
No, of course not.
I would love that because, oh my God, that would be absolutely insane.
We're not doing another topic where we're talking about a celebrity. We're not doing that again.
You know what? I actually would be willing to do that. I think we should reinvest into that.
I'm sure. It'll just be me nodding off camera because you can't see me nodding in a recording going, yeah, Emma Stone. I've seen tap, 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 tap. I've seen that movie, tap, tap, tap. My topic, I am going to bring up this topic mostly because, okay, I am very passionate about it. And I want to talk about it because I know you don't really care about it. And it will be something for both of us to share our thoughts on our two very differing amount of experience to it. And I just want to hear your thoughts. So
Is it human rights?
No. It's...
No, I'm joking. That's a joke.
You stop digging yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My topic this evening is video games, not the Lana Del Rey song. Not that one.
Oh, no.
I know you'd love to talk about that, but my topic today is video games. And as I said before, it's something I could literally talk for years about. My life would be very different if video games did not exist. And it's one of those things that, like, I could talk a lot about without having a relatively big amount of experience in. I know a lot of people who play more games than I do and who have spent more hours in the digital world than I have. But it's a very interesting topic to me. And I know that you don't really play video games, and you think that all gamers are dweebs. But I do know that you have played video games before, Ben. So I would love to talk to you about that.
This is a rumor. This is hearsay. Okay, I have. The court of law would not take your claim and take it seriously unless you have any evidence to back it up.
Okay, yeah, sure. What do you have to say about it? What do you have to say about video games? What do you think?
On video games, okay. Well, it's true. I have indeed played video games, and back in the day, I was very into them. I was as a youth, but I was never into them in the same way that I think you are. For me, like video games were like silly, and I think our views on them are just different. Like, I think my adult attention span can't handle it simply, and also, like, I think it's one of those things. I think as you get older as well, like, you start to filter out what you really like and what you don't really like. I think I just kind of grew into someone who hasn't got the patience for video games and hasn't got, like, the time for them. Well, I don't make the time for them because I prefer doing other things. But that doesn't mean they're not valuable. I respect your dweeby interest. Again, didn't just say that. That was AI. And I just don't. Also, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't understand what I'm doing. And this just comes into a lot of my digital skills. And there's I don't know what happened to me, but I think it must have been somewhere around 17 or 18. I just completely forgot how to use a computer.
Okay.
Like, sure. I can't use a games console. I don't know why my brain doesn't want to do it. It's like, I was talking to my friend Marie about this with board games. I used to be so good at board games, and now I just try and play a board game and someone explains the rules to me, and I'm so confused. You remember how it used to be with that game that we used to play with Scott, where you like slapping the cards down and like one that Will used to say random things about? Anomia. I've never been so confused in my entire life, and you have explained it to me in minute detail, and I think it just crosses over into video games where I don't understand what's going on. Like, I can't do it. So maybe if I understood it more, I'd like it more, but I can't.
That's really interesting. And I'm about to go into a very academic discussion about this, because from the perspective of someone raised as a woman, video games is a really interesting realm, again, when it comes to like sexism and misogyny and access to video games and things like that, in the same way with like sciences, with women being less represented and that sort of being assumed of like, oh, maybe women are just bad at science or are just not smart enough, when really there's just like a systemic erasure of women in these spaces. When it comes to video games, it's a really interesting thing as well, because again, it's, at least when you and I were growing up, it was much more of a boys zone only, you know, like it's the guys who play video games, and if you were a girl who played it, it wasn't always like the sexy cool thing, you know, that a lot of people might make it seem. And it was kind of another chance for boys to make you feel like you sucked. And with you talking about like not understanding how to use the controls, I found with a lot of my, you know, female friends growing up, a lot of them felt very uninterested, and they just weren't interested in playing games because they didn't understand it. They didn't have the chance to understand it because, you know, either on online platforms, boys would be horrible to girls, or, you know, their older brothers would be like, you suck at this game, let me play it. So I do think it's a really interesting thing with a lot of, you know, girls who have grown up and who have later in their lives found out that they actually do like games, and they just didn't have the opportunity to play and learn and use how do you use a controller, how is the video game language translate to real life. So your stance on it, and your idea of it coming from a place of just not understanding, and maybe other things like how you grew up, the people you grew up with, and stuff like that. It does remind me of being a girl and growing up in those times.
That is so interesting you say that, because I'm not going to equate the LGBT experience to that of being a woman, I understand, or being raised a woman. They're obviously two different entities, but they do both suffer at the same hand, and that is heterosexual men. They even though they suffer in different avenues, they are still underneath the boot of the heterosexual male. And I think that is kind of a thing as well. Like, I think my interest in video games, it's like a therapy session now, God. My interest in video games deteriorated with my developing of my sexuality. So I think it's like when I was a little boy, exactly, like when I was a little boy and I was a teenager, when that wasn't really something that was thought about because I was a kid, like, it was, video games were like just part of me being a little boy, and that was such a normal thing. And I loved it. I used to love Pokemon. Oh my God, Pokemon is still so cool. Like, I'm not going to play it because I think I just haven't got the mental capacity to do it anymore. But it is just so cute. Like, these animals are so cute. But beyond the point. I loved that. I loved Pokemon. I loved Grand Theft Auto as a teenager. I mean, you see me play it, and I love to kill people. I love to kill people. And it's just like, I guess, because I can't kill people in real life, so I have to do it on the internet. Sorry. Like, I don't act like it's a really good way of getting my anger out. But like video games, I don't know, I think the older I got, it did feel so exclusive to like straight males, and not even cool straight males, like the dweeby straight males who were like kind of just misogynists and homophobes, because it's the thing, like, so much of gaming is like, you see these things online of like these boys like literally calling each other like homophobic slurs. Like when female gamers come on, they're just horrible and sexist and misogynistic. It doesn't create a very welcoming world of like, and it's not to say that I'm even like an internet gamer. I never used to play video games online per se, but I do also just feel like it never felt welcoming to me. It never felt like I was something I was allowed to be good at. And I think I was kind of always grouped with the girls because of my sexuality, and that as a result my interest in it just faded away.
It's so interesting. It really, again, I could literally talk about this for ages, and this is a really interesting vein we've gone down. Because again, I remember having to like, again, if I had been, raised a boy, maybe, my level of video games would probably be considered average, I would say, growing up, like an average level. But because I was raised as a woman, even with, close friends and things like that, I always felt like, I was being, I don't know, not challenged, but I think people always thought I was going to be worse than I was at games, or that I had less knowledge. Like if my Pokemon teams had a certain, like I would choose the Pokemon teams and I would make it work, but someone would always have to say like, oh, you're not choosing like the right, this, and this. And I'm like, I'm not, but I'm still playing the game. Like, I don't really care about that stuff. But that tended to be like the big reaction I would get, which made me, again, like less likely to share the fact that I play video games with other people, and it became a much more like solitary thing. Nowadays, I still do play games, but again, not as much. I don't feel like I have the time sometimes. For me, it's like reading. Every so often I go into a phase of reading, I go into a phase of video games, but it's something I always follow up on. As a changing media artistic landscape, that's becoming quite a big thing nowadays.
I think it's so interesting. I think it is developing something completely different. I think it is becoming so much more mainstream. Not that it ever wasn't mainstream, because these games sold millions of copies, but people do discuss it more, and like, you see, adaptations of video games have been really popular recently and things like that. But like, I think I've kind of like re-accessed it a little bit in terms of like, for example, I used to love watching Tom play Resident Evil, or love watching him play Alien. I love watching. I don't know, I just love watching gameplay. I think it's so interesting. But not online, in person. I love to watch someone do it. I'm like, ooh. I don't know, it feels like it's one of those things as well, because I think maybe I felt like I wasn't allowed to be part of that community, but it was just really fun to laugh at people. Sorry. Sorry,
That's
back
really
to the
funny.
truth. It's fun to laugh at people. Okay, it's silly.
That's very silly, Ben. I do appreciate that. And to close off my segment, I've thought of a very cute little thing for us to do, a little thought experiment. If you, my friend, were a video game character, and let's say in a fighting game like a Super Smash Bros. Style game, I want to know these. We'll keep it to 2 things, not 3 things. What would be the item that healed you? Like if you took damage, what would be the item or food or drink or whatever? What would you do to heal your character? And what would be your super special attack to end your enemies? Tell me now.
Oh, okay, could it be 2? Could they both be the same thing?
Sure.
I think so. To heal me would be tuna mayo. I think to kill my enemy, if we are enemies, they simply must not like tuna mayo, because I am enemies with everyone who hates tuna mayo. And so I would throw my bowl of tuna mayo at them and eat it. And eat it off of their form.
I could see a cutscene happening where you like assemble your ingredients for the tuna mayo. The camera pans, and you can see them licking your lips as you add the mayonnaise to the tuna, and then it zooms
and
around.
I get my little fork and I'll mix it around. Yeah. And I cut some spring onions. I mix it all in. And I'm like, ooh, and then I look at them and dead in the eye, me and my enemy, and I just grab my filthy mitt and I just put it in the bowl and I scramble it around and I just shove it up their nose because I know how much people hate the smell of it and I hope it stinks you out. That's what I feel like.
I would love to play your character. I'd love to play your character. I actually have
what's yours? Tell me yours.
I'm thinking about mine right now. I think honestly, if my character had to rest to regain health points, I know it sounds a bit basic. But I think I could see the little animation in my head. My bed without a frame would swirl around me, and I would take a too long nap. I would wake up completely groggily, and then take a big swig of tea that's gone cold. That would be the way I would heal. And then, once I got out of bed and was ready to deliver my final blow, feeling really podcasty, I think I'd stretch the fabric of reality into a Final Cut Pro and snip the person up into little audio bites and delete them. That's what I would do.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that is so intricate and modern. I love that for you. I love this digital death that you've created for people.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That is so fun. And I can definitely see that the screen fading, like going in on itself, and then like, you know, like in a movie when like they actually all live inside a snow globe. You know, like in like The Grinch, when they all live inside a snow globe and it comes out, it's like the Grinch, or like when they live inside like a dandelion in Whoville or whatever, and then they all come out, they zoom out, and it's just you with a pair of scissors.
Yes, I'm Control B
holding a screen,
timeline.
and you are God, and you cut it all up.
Yes. Also, no one
that.
come at me for me revealing that I use Final Cut Pro to edit audio. I don't want to hear any audio nerds on here right now. Get away, dweebs! This is a dweeb-free zone except for me. I'm the only dweeb here.
I was gonna say, yeah, I am not a dweeb. I'm really cool because I can't use technology, so I have no idea what you're talking about. Also, I did a degree where we were meant to learn about these things, and because of the COVID, they were like, "Oh, you don't need to know. You don't need that.
You don't need that." I did a degree to learn social skills, and I did not need to know that. So, here we are. I don't know if technical, and I don't know how to talk without saying the Grinch. God, okay.
God, we are so successful in our own right. Wow. I'm so proud of us.
We're here every Friday. Get your pennies, collect them in your little
Sorry
bag.
that last week was late, guys. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I was busy living my life. Okay, yes, I'm sorry. Don't be angry with me. Get a grip. Okay, get a hobby. Okay, sorry about it. Wah. Okay,
wow.
It was worth the wait because we are so fun. Okay, so
yes, we are.
Good things take time. Okay, people.
Yes.
Okay, people.
Yes, well, please like us, subscribe to our various channels, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And please do leave feedback.
Yes.
Please do leave stars, comments, and listen and tell your friends about the super cool podcast of us talking absolute shit, regurgitating what's already been said by smarter people.
I love it. We are simplifying interesting sentiments amongst friends. Yeah.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Ben. I'll see you next
week. It's been terrible talking to you, Zoe. Whatever. Like taking a bullet. Okay. Goodbye. Bye. See ya. Bye. Stay tuned.